right, this is lesson 3 of the surface area unit. We're looking at cylinders today, which are circular prisms. I want to show you a little animation before we get started. So we have a cylinder here. I'm going to close it back up. So a cylinder is made from 2 circles, one on the top, one on the bottom. And I like to think of a soup can. And when you think of the middle part, it's like unraveling the label on the soup can and it becomes a rectangle. So essentially we have 2 circles to find the area of today, and then the area of this rectangle. Now the length of this rectangle is going to be the circumference, the distance all the way around that circle. That's the length of the rectangle, and then the width of the rectangle is just the height that the cylinder was. Okay, so let's write down these formulas. Okay, so a cylinder is made of 2 circles and 1 rectangle. Okay, the area of the circle, so the area of 1 circle is pi r squared. So because there's 2 of them, we're going to multiply it by 2. Okay, so r stands for radius, and radius is just the distance from the center to the outside of the circle. For the rectangle, the length of the rectangle is going to be the circumference, 2 times pi times r. That's just the formula for the circumference, or the distance all the way around. And then the height of the cylinder is h. Okay, so let's practice. We are going to need a calculator for this to get, because we're not going to get exact answers since these are involving the number pi, which is irrational, and it's a decimal that goes on forever. Let's have a look at this first question here. So I've got my 2 circles. I'm going to use yellow for my, actually I'll use pink for my circles today. Changed my mind. So my circles here are in pink. The radius of my circle I can see there is 6 feet. And then the rectangle here, the side part of the rectangle that goes around the side, it's going to have a height of 14 feet. Okay, so let's do the circles first. The area of a circle is pi r squared, and we're going to multiply it by 2 because there are 2 circles. So it's going to be 2 times pi times 6 feet squared. So squared just means multiply that number twice. So it's going to be, I'm going to multiply the numbers here first. So 2 times 6 is 72. I'm just going to leave it with the pi attached for now, because you'll see why later. It's easier that way. So 72 pi is the area of the 2 circles. All right, let's do the rectangle. So the rectangle has length 2 times pi times r, and then the width is the height. So for us here, it's going to be 2 times pi times 6 feet times 14 feet. I'm just going to multiply the numbers first together. 2 times 6 times 14 is 168, and then we have pi feet squared. So the total surface area is going to be 72 pi feet squared plus 168 pi feet squared. 72 plus 168 is 240 pi. At this point is when I want you to finally take out your calculator and type it in. If you have a pi button on your calculator, you can use it, or you can use pi is approximately 3.14159 as your approximation. So type 240 times pi, and you'll get that the surface area is approximately 754.0 feet squared. If you type in pi every single step and get your decimal approximation every single time, it wastes time, but it also can cause some rounding errors. So that's why I like to tell students just to do it once at the very end. Okay, let's do this one. This time we have our 2 circles again, and we have a rectangle that would be in between. Okay, the radius of the circles is not given. We're told what the diameter is this time, but the radius would be half of that, so 3 feet. And the height would be 9.4 feet. Okay, so the area of the two circles is going to be 2 times pi r squared. So 2 times pi times 3 feet squared. 2 times 3 is 18. So the area of the two circles is 18 pi. Okay, let's do the rectangle. It's going to be 2 pi r h. 2 times pi times r times h. 2 times pi times 3 feet times 9.4 feet. So I'm just going to multiply the numbers together and I get 56.4 pi feet squared. So I just leave the pi for now. For the total, I'm going to add those two numbers together. I'm going to add the circles, 18 pi, and the rectangle, and I get 74.4 pi feet squared. This is where I'm going to take my calculator out and type 74.4 times pi, and I'm going to get an approximation because I have to round it off. It's going to be about 233.7 feet squared. All right. And that is the end of the lesson.